Heat and the social media world and all throughout the media as well too, uh, being a little upset that he couldn't get on the hill in proper time, and blamed his little slow start for that. But anyway, he's back at it again today. Of course, no big ceremonies today, but the Yankees a $1.65 favorite. This thing opened about 145. Now it's got bet up to 165. Um, Mark, let's start with you. Give me some thoughts on Yankees and Blue Jays today.
Yeah, I love the Yankees here. This is gonna be one of my plays, and the line started at minus 120, and there's been a sharp move, and it's rare that you see. I think that people would have studied Barrios a little bit better than they have. I'm really surprised at the sharp line movement. Uh, not that I don't agree with it, but just that it was priced so bad that it's already gone up 43 points. So right now it's sitting at minus 163. I think that's a decent price still. I mean, I have it priced at minus 199. Cole's the fifth out of 150, fifth base winner rating. I have him at 62. He's going to suppress runs by 38%. I'm not low on Barrios yet. He had a bad outing his first start, and maybe that explains the rapid line movement. But I have him in at 46 out of 150 pitchers. He's going to suppress runs 16% greater than the average pitcher. Huge bullpen disparity. We talked a little bit about this when we went over the Toronto Yankee game yesterday, Jeff and I. And I've got, just based on this, Cole's relief personnel that's gonna back him in this game. I've got the bullpen ranked 4 out of 150, and the Toronto bullpen I've got 47th out of 150. Again, both teams' offenses, versus respective splits are equal. Toronto a little bit better; they're second out of 30 teams, and the Yankees third out of 30 teams. But you put it all in the mixer, this still has value with the Yankees, despite the line movement. And again, like I said before on a couple shows, it seems that every play where I beat the line, and this is a sample over 8,000 games in 8 years, when I can beat the line, my winning percentage, as opposed to when I don't beat the line, is about 5% greater. So I really like it for those reasons.
All right, Jeff, thoughts? Blue Jays and those big bats against Garrett Cole today for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's dead on this one. I mean, the line they threw out there initially was a joke. I mean, it's not. Cole needs to be listed at 140. I think like a higher against most teams. Barrios was a disaster. I mean, you can't get much worse. Now look, he's better than that. I mean, it was just a bad outing, but I don't know. Over the years, I'll tell you this: when he was with Minnesota, anytime I backed this guy, they stuck it to me. He stuck it to me. I'm just not a big fan of his. And look, Toronto has struggled. A lot of these guys have struggled over the years against Cole. Not a lot of appearances, but you have some guys that have really had issues against Garrett Cole. Seems like Toronto, they're all or nothing offense. I lean Cole. I would play it at this price as well. I feel like whenever you can get him in these price ranges, I'm interested. I will say, Garrett Cole has always come across to me as an excuse maker. It wasn't Billy Crystal. I mean, give me a break. You didn't pitch well because you didn't pitch well. These athletes are such diva clowns occasionally, where it's everyone else's fault but yours. That there's a preamble. It's the first start of the season. There's going to be some extra things they add in. You're getting paid. I mean, I think he's got the biggest contract in baseball, arguably. I mean,
the Scherzer does, but he's up there. He's at 30s. I think he's 36 for per year. That's right off the top of my head. But they're up in the 30s. So
yeah, I think that's why it was so strange for this story to take the wheels that it took here, is because here this guy is a veteran. Like you said, he's one of the highest paid players in Major League Baseball, and he's complaining. He's actually rattled in his home park about this. It just doesn't make sense. But to me, it just kind of goes back and begs a question here about Garrett Cole, because I remember he really didn't close the season that strong last year. I mean, he got banged around in some of those outings in September last year. I'm just wondering, guys, is Garrett Cole maybe a little bit overvalued at times here?
Yeah, that's a great thought. Look, I'm going to tell you this. He's good. He's had some great years over the years, but I for one, I'll take DeGrom over him. I'll take Scherzer over him. I'll take several pitchers over Garrett Cole. But again, in baseball, we've seen it over the years where guys get these ridiculous contracts. And that's just, it is what it is. Do I think he's a little overvalued? Yeah, I think occasionally, and not at this price. I mean, I think at this 140, 150 ish, 160. But Mark's right. I mean, this number seems to be creeping up like anytime you refresh the screen. So,
we're seeing one-sided action here, and maybe is it because the reputation of Cole? So we'll see.
Yeah, and Barrios was so bad in the first match. Right?
Barrios was horrible his first time out by any metric. But I just like Jeff said, he's not as bad of a pitcher. I don't understand it. Like Jeff says, hey, it should be priced at minus 140, and that's kind of where I expected it to start. But I mean, the sharp rise, hey, I like it. That's why I think it's good. And you mentioned TC about waiting to put the actual lineups in, and I did that for years. But I think that the night before, if you have really good default lineups, I think you jump. Jeff and I talked about this on the show yesterday. You jump on the game early, especially if you're confident with a particular game's line.
I will say real quick before we get off this game, under 8 looks kind of nice here. I mean, you always know you're going to get a pretty good outing from Cole. They have a great bullpen behind. These offenses are struggling right now. I mean, I don't think we glean a lot on what Toronto did in the first couple games. I mean, Texas's rotation. I mean, that's like me, Mark, you, and 2 listeners as pitchers. I mean, that's the same level of pitchers I feel like Texas has. So I don't really glean a lot of that. Lately, Toronto and the Yankees have struggled with it. We've seen some goose eggs on these teams. I expect a better outing from Barrios. So 8 might be a little rich here. I could see like a 4-2, 4-3 type of game, something like that.
All right.
I think it's interesting. I just want to make this point because it's very interesting. Unders so far this year, 47 and 27. So you chalk that up to the hitters or the pitchers being ahead of the hitters, weather, or maybe the balls are less lively. I think you got to wait and see, but I think that's an interesting number to kind of observe and take in.
Yeah, to that point, real quick, Mark, as any manager will tell you that pitchers are ahead of the hitters this point in time too, and also it's because we got so many pitchers, and you got fresh pitchers in the bullpen as well too. I mean, you look at use the Astros as an example. I mean, Dusty Baker's been going with his starters for about 6 innings, and then he's able to get a very fresh bullpen day in day out. One of the reasons why the Astros are 4-1 at this point in time. So exactly, you got hitters are definitely behind the pitchers at this point in time. So great points with that, guys, about looking at some unders, and that bears the numbers what you just mentioned there, Mark. 47 to 27.